Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. We're here today with the Sims 2 speed build and we are working on St. Simeon's Church. Now this is a lot I am building in my custom neighbourhood. If you saw on the left hand side, we do actually have the Tropicana Leisure Centre. So at the moment these lots are built next to each other, but in my custom hood that's probably not where they're going to stay, just because they are both very different architecturally and I don't think they look good next to one another, so I'll probably shuffle them about. But I mean, the lot's nowhere near done. The world, the neighborhood, the thing, it's nowhere near done. I only have these two lots in it. I am also going to use this church in my Pleasant View. So in my sort of Pleasant View renovation series, I'm going through all the community lots and Sims houses, and I'm just giving them a renovation and sort of making them how I would like them to look when I play in them. So it's a bit of a big task, but I'm most of the way through now. I have got 3 lots left. I have got the Caliente Sisters condo, I have the Dreamer house, and I have Don Lothario's condo. And the reason I haven't done the condos yet is just because I hate those buildings so much. I find diagonals in The Sims a bit of a pain to work with, especially in The Sims 2. I mean, The Sims 3 and The Sims 4 is not as bad, but in The Sims 2 diagonals, they just take up so much space and you can't really furnish them well, or I can't really furnish them well. Not that I think I'm good at furnishing anyway, but I feel like my condos are definitely the weakest lots out of all of them. So I've kind of been putting that off. But I have done every other lot so far, and some of them I am really happy with. I love how they turned out. Normally when I play in Pleasant View, I renovate as I go along. I don't ever renovate before I start playing. So this is different for me, but I'm really enjoying it and I can't wait to get into, the actual gameplay of it. Also, let me know your thoughts on bringing Pleasant View back to the channel. I'm not sure when I would bring Pleasant View gameplay back, because I am obviously working on Strange Town with a Twist, though I'm not entirely sure how long that series will run for. I want to find out the twists and everything, but I don't know, I don't feel like I can play Strange Town for as long as I could play Pleasant View. Pleasant View is my favourite of the Sims 2 neighbourhoods. I find Pleasant View so fun and I honestly live for restarting Pleasant View. I think I said that in one of my previous sort of Pleasant View renovation videos. Restarting Pleasant View is my form of self-care. So I don't think have I been saying Strangerville this whole time? Strange Town with a Twist will run as long as a Pleasant View series would. And I think I said before I wasn't planning on playing Pleasant View on the channel, but the more I've been thinking about it, the more I'm kind of leaning towards it. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. I know we did have a Pleasant View series before, but then something happened. I think it was when I disconnected OneDrive, because all my Sims files were backed up onto OneDrive, and then I disconnected it because it was using up too much room, because every screenshot from the dawn of time was saved into OneDrive and I couldn't clear it. And then after I disconnected OneDrive was when I had all the issues with my saves, so every sort of played neighborhood that I was in was just wiped and none of my backups would properly register in the game, so that everything I had been working on was just gone. And as heartbreaking as that was, it's time to get hurt again. So I mean, this Pleasant View, I would try and play it in a different way than I played my previous Pleasant View, like I always do. But I mean, some things in the story, there might be overlaps between a new Pleasant View series and my old Pleasant View series. So I don't know, let me know your thoughts on that, because I don't really want to put something up that, nobody's going to be interested in. The main thing with my videos is I have to have fun making them, otherwise, I'm not going to continue doing that. But at the same time, there's no point me making videos that no one's gonna watch, because like I would also have fun just like playing by myself. So, you know, we'll see. Let me know. I feel like I've talked about Pleasant View a lot. Let's talk about the church. I struggled with this so much. Like, there's a lot of things I have cut out from this video, and I think I've honestly bulldozed and restarted this lot about 12 times before I finally had a shell that I was happy with. And maybe happy is going a bit far. I do think it turned out really well. There are some things I'd like to improve. I feel like the graveyard in particular, which you can't see yet, that comes at the end. But the graveyard in particular, I think I want to tweak some more. This is my first time building something like this though. So for like a first attempt, I do think it's turned out quite well. I really enjoy what I did with like the steeple, where I put those archways. I did want those archways going all the way around so you could see right through on all four sides, because that's where I imagine the church bell would be, but I don't have a bell. I assume I could probably get a bell, because like The Sims 2's been out for almost 17 years now. So content creators have been at this game for a while. So basically anything you can think of, you can probably find custom content for that. But yeah, that's where I imagine the bell would be. The inside of the church I also really like. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I am not a religious person, so I have been in a church a total of twice in my life. And it was both the same church. Like one of it was for, like one of my first trip was on a school trip. We had this sort of topic when I was in primary 4, and it was like walk around your town. And we went to like memorials, we went into the church, we went into the museum. You know, we went on these like little excursions out to have a look at like the notable things about your town, and the church was one of them. And I remember the minister was like, okay, one lucky person gets to ring the bell, and I was raging because I didn't get to do it, because obviously like church bells are really loud and you can hear them all over town, and yeah, I didn't get to ring it, so that was disappointing. And then the next time was a funeral. So like both of those times I wasn't in them long. Like I don't know what a church looks like. I really wanted to have a wedding arch on the stage, but I couldn't make it work because the wedding arch was too tall. So as much as I would have loved that idea, I couldn't do it, and I did cut out me trying to make it work. But this church, as you can see, is fitted with a wedding arch, so this, you know, is a sort of, I guess, a functional wedding lot, but I'm not sure in practice how good a wedding here would be, because although there's bathrooms, there's no like food or drink facilities here at all, because it's a church. I imagine like in real life there are probably, you know, like church kitchens and things, and like maybe churches have like function halls. I'm not entirely sure. Again, I'm not religious. I've not been in many churches, so I'm sorry. But this church doesn't have it because I didn't know how to make it work. But I'm using these Sims 4, I think they're meant to be couches, but it's a 4:2 conversion, and I thought that looked really good for the pews. I do end up replacing that piano with another 4:2 conversion, which is the organ from Vampires, because I thought a good church organ would look a lot nicer than like a piano. So we have like end tables and books dotted about, just to kind of give the illusion that, you know, that's where you come in and pick up your hymn books or your Bibles. And, you know, we have tapestries on the walls, and I think it turned out really nice. I don't know how sort of true to life this would be to an actual church. A lot of the things while I was decorating, and my boyfriend was sitting next to me watching a film, and I must have been the most irritating person ever, because every 5 minutes I'd be like, hey, do churches have this? And then he'd have to like stop watching his film and look at what I was doing and be like, no, they will not have a suit of armor there, put it away. So I did have a consultant on this build. But yeah, I do really like the inside. I do think it's turned out quite nice. I do think I will go back and sort of tweak the cemetery a little though. Like the cemetery's not bad, and it will look a lot better when I have graves in it, you know, as morbid as that sounds. But yeah, it needs something, and I'm not sure what it needs. So, I mean, if you have any suggestions for how I could improve this, let me know. I do have screenshots coming up at the end of the video, like I always do. So I do have screenshots of the build afterwards, but they're not overly flattering, to be honest. And I shared this on my Tumblr, and it's actually quite popular for one of my posts. I think it got like maybe 30 notes, which I guess to a lot of people isn't a lot. But, you know, for one of my posts, that is quite a high number. And so many really cool people in the Sims 2 community have seen it that don't follow me. And there are a lot of like CC creators that I really admire. Like, they all saw my church, and it's like, if I knew how far this screenshot would reach, I don't think I would have put those photos up of it. I would have tried harder to get better ones. Because, like, I do think the church looks really nice, but the photos do not do it justice at all. But here we just have the little church bathroom. I do think I still have two. Yeah, I do have two bathrooms. Because I know I changed the layout in the sort of church, not the church hall, but the main bit of the church, because I wanted to fit the organ in, and it looked strange just sitting in like the main room, so the organ's kind of like tucked around the corner. And then like that sort of lobby bit at the back, which leads out into the cemetery, I end up just turning that into like, I don't really know what I turn it into. It's got like a coat hook, and it's got candles, but it's not really the type of candles that I think you would light for someone. But it's got candles there, because that was kind of what I was thinking at the time. Like, you know, when like you go into a church and like you light a candle in someone's memory. That's kind of what I was thinking. And I also have like notice boards, because churches are usually like big parts of the community. So I figured that like a notice board would look good in here, because obviously people would come in, they'd see, you know, ads for things. You know, it's probably like a bit of a community hub. So I did add that in there as well. But other than that, I wasn't entirely sure what to put in here, because I don't really know what they would have. Maybe like a sort of sofa or something would have been nice. Like on that wall there where I've put the umbrella stand, maybe like a sofa. Like just for you to, I don't know, like take a little seat while you're waiting for someone or something. I'm not entirely sure. Again, work in progress. We might tweak it. Who knows? But yeah, I like how it turned out. I also just see in the background I have some items just stuck out there that I'd like to try and fit in the graveyard. Because my whole thing when I was doing this was I didn't want my graveyard to be creepy. So when a lot of people do graveyard builds, like particularly in The Sims 4, like that's where I kind of take like this comment from, is like The Sims 4, just because I think it's easier to download other people's builds in The Sims 4 than it is in any other Sims game, purely because of the gallery. But for example, if you search up Cemetery there, so many of them are creepy and like run down, and you know, that's not what I want a cemetery for. Like, I want a cemetery so I can lay my playable Sims to rest. Like, this is going to be like, you know, their eternal resting place. I don't want to put them somewhere gross and creepy and probably haunted. So I did want my graveyard to look nice. If that doesn't sound creepy in of itself. But I wanted this to be the sort of place that you could come and like you could, you know, just sit by the person's grave and you could have time and you could remember them and this, that, and the next thing. Like, that's what I wanted. I didn't, obviously this is not where you would come on like a day out, but yeah, I wanted it to be a nice place. I've also built a little like mausoleum out here, and I kind of like how it turned out, but I wish I knew how to do something a bit cooler with the roof. That is something I wish, because it doesn't look as good as what I was using as reference. I was using the mausoleum from The Sims 3 as like build reference. So, you know, my roof is a bit more plain than what the actual mausoleum in The Sims 3 looks like. but it's the best I could do. I don't really understand roofing. Roofing is still the thing I struggle with in The Sims the most. So if anything has like too complex of a shape that I wouldn't be able to roof, I don't do it. So that's something I do want to work on, because I'd like to be able to build more complex builds, but roofing is definitely what holds me back. Like, I'd like to have more, you know, visually interesting floor plans. Like, I'd like to have more interesting bump outs and things like that, but I can't roof it. I also really struggled with like terrain painting on this, because I wanted there to be like enough room for graves, but at the same time I didn't want your Sims just walking through the grass. Like, I wanted them to have like clear walkways, even though as far as I'm aware most cemeteries don't have that. Like, they'll have like gravel paths. So maybe if I was going back into this, I would actually change that sort of cobbles for gravel. But yeah, 9 times out of 10, like most cemeteries I've been into have just been like pure grass. And obviously like the graves have been in like sort of designated rows. Like, your graves have plots, so you know, you still know where a grave is, so you don't accidentally walk over one, because you know, you don't walk over graves. That's incredibly disrespectful. Also, I mean, if you believe excuse me, in like ghosts and hauntings and things, I would 100% haunt everyone that walked on my grave, so I wouldn't want to do it to somebody else. I kind of lost my train of thought now because I've talked about something weird. That's just me. I also really struggled with landscaping this lot, because this is quite a large lot for me. I normally don't work on lots this big, but for the graveyard I did want there to be plenty of room. However, I feel like the path takes up a lot of room, so I don't have as much space for graveyards or like graves as I would like. So again, this needs sort of rejigged a little. I mean, there's plenty of space to keep me going. I guess in Pleasant View, which is where I'm going to be testing out this, because Pleasant View is going to be ready to play long before my custom neighborhood is. But what I could do is always just put like a blank lot the same size next to the church, and we can kind of extend the cemetery that way. Although it'll be like 2 separate lots. You know, it'll be next to each other, so it might look like it's connected. We can just use our imagination and pretend it is. But yeah, looking back at it now, I do actually quite like how this turned out. So here I am just fencing off the bits here where I feel like graves would go. So the gravestone will obviously sit at the open bit of the fencing, and then you can put flowers or whatever down once they're there. Just so, I don't know, they have flowers, I guess. So we just have like dirt patches just now. And I think, if I remember rightly, I have put lights around all the graves as well, just so it doesn't look creepy at night, because again, we don't want it to be creepy. Though we are coming to the end of the video now. Sorry this is a bit longer, but this is quite an involved build. But yeah, I really do hope you have enjoyed. Any comments or suggestions, please leave them down below. I am always happy to hear from you. If you have enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a like or maybe even subscribing, so I'd really appreciate that. And I will see you all in the very next video. Bye!